Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly unsettling narrative. We're looking at a story where a sacred festival, one that's built entirely on love and devotion, is violently subverted into a terrifying ritual of death. So grab a seat because we are completely deconstructing the chilling events of Rita's dark Karwa. I want you to keep this central question in mind as we go through this. What actually happens when a prayer for life becomes a deadly curse? Today, we're going to break down the exact mechanics of a supernatural revenge based on our source material. And trust me, the psychological and supernatural layers here are absolutely fascinating. They really expose exactly how dark lore operates. Part 1. An abusive marriage.
To really understand this curse, we first have to understand the initial victim. Our story starts in a small village in Rajasthan, focusing on a woman named Rita and her 2-year marriage to a man named Vijay. Now, Vijay is a local contractor, but more importantly for our analysis, he's incredibly cruel. The breaking point? It comes over a completely trivial complaint. He literally asks, put salt in the vegetable or vegetable in the salt. It's an absurd excuse, but it triggers a shockingly violent attack. A drunken Vijay throws a glass that shatters right against her head, causing her to bleed heavily. He then grabs a stick and threatens to end her life right then and there. It's this exact moment of sheer desperation and terror that pushes Rita into the dark.
Part 2. A dark tantric pact.
Fleeing for her life, Rita runs out into the dead of night. She's bleeding. She's hiding near a dark jungle stepwell, which is known locally as a baori, and that's where she meets Taramati. Taramati is this old woman steeped in the dark arts, and she's right in the middle of performing tantric magic. Now notice the stark subversion of a centuries-old tradition here. Karwa Chauth is traditionally a strict fast that women observe to pray for the long life and well-being of their husbands. But Taramati, she offers a chilling alternative. She promises Rita that if she reverses her intention, this exact same ritual can be manipulated to summon his death instead. It is a complete and total inversion of a sacred practice.
Part 3. The Cursed Karwa Chauth. Okay, so it's morning on the day of the fast, and Rita is meticulously preparing her traditional 16 shringar, the 16 bridal adornments. To anyone looking, she's the perfect picture of a devoted wife. But beneath that beautiful makeup, her face is masking this deep, burning hatred. When Taramati arrives, Rita pulls the necessary items from her cupboard, and we're not talking sweets here. She pulls out blood, bones, and cremation ashes. We are a long, long way from the traditional sweets and flowers of a marital festival. The visual contrast here is just staggering. Rita is willingly handing over the literal elements of death to fuel this dark magic.
Let's look closely at the exact steps of this dark ritual they perform right in the middle of Rita's living room, because it reveals the precise mechanics of a curse. First, Taramati creates a Kal chakra, which is a mystical circle of time. Second, she lights a ceremonial fire, but she places a black stone inside the traditional Karwa Chauth sieve. And third, they begin chanting to invoke a blood demon. It's this highly structured step-by-step process of supernatural summoning.
Listen to the chant they use. Rakt Betale Namashan Shamshan Chita Jwala Tamasi Ratri Sanadati. The tension here absolutely skyrockets. Right in the middle of this dark, demonic chant, Vijay briefly returns home to grab a forgotten phone. He sees this bizarre setup on the floor, and Taramati flawlessly lies to his face, claiming the ritual is just some rare third-year marriage practice meant to prolong his life. And the crazy thing? Vijay completely buys it. He leaves, entirely unaware he just walked in on his own death sentence being signed.
Before we go any further, we need to define exactly what it is they're summoning. A Rakt Betal is a demonic blood entity. According to the lore in our source material, it manifests at sunset and is completely bound to follow the summoner's commands with one specific, terrifying goal: to utterly destroy its target. So this isn't just bad luck. It's a targeted, lethal, supernatural weapon.
Part 4. The Demonic Possession. So Rita has been fasting all day, right? She's hungry, thirsty, fueled only by her desire for revenge. She waits for the moon. But instead of looking at it with devotion, she turns and looks at Vijay through that blood-stained ritual sieve Taramati prepared. This specific action is the exact trigger for the demonic possession. At sunset, the Rakt Betal was summoned into the house. At night, as soon as Rita looks through that sieve, the demon forcibly enters Vijay. His very first hallucination? He looks up and sees the moon, not as a glowing white orb, but as a red, burning fireball, right before he suddenly collapses to the floor. By midnight, the horrifying physical mutations begin.
And the physical changes, they're literally the stuff of nightmares. His symptoms of possession are severe and immediate. His eyes turn entirely black. He starts exhaling thick black smoke from his mouth. His feet physically turn backward with the heels facing front, and his chest begins to bleed spontaneously, like it's being torn open by an invisible force. But what's incredibly chilling here is how Rita reacts. When Vijay's father, Kamadas, starts panicking over the black smoke and black eyes, Rita simply touches Vijay, which briefly reverts his appearance and coldly gaslights the terrified old man, telling him he just needs to go get his glasses checked.
Part 5. The Ultimate Price.
A supernatural illusion like that, well, it can't hold for long. The narrative pace really escalates here. Vijay wakes up in the middle of the night, his body contorting, and he actually begins crawling on the walls. It's a scene of absolute horror that prompts this desperate, panicked rush to the hospital by his terrified father. Now, put yourself in the doctor's shoes for a second. Vijay's brought in, bleeding profusely from his chest. The doctor tries to bandage him, but the blood simply won't stop flowing. Hearing Vijay's demonic laughter, the medical professional is forced to abandon science entirely. The doctor turns to Kamaldas and says, "This is not a medical problem. Call an experienced tantric." I mean, when a medical professional recognizes an unknown supernatural power at work, you know for sure that all hope is lost.
And if there was any lingering doubt that Vijay's human soul was gone, just listen to his chilling demand for food. His father, completely desperate to comfort his son, offers him a simple roti. Vijay's response? Not roti. Bring raw meat from the cremation ground. This completely solidifies the absolute takeover by the Rakt Batal. There is literally no trace of human consciousness left, only the demon remains.
We've reached the final plunge, and the climax is just pure chaos. The hospital lights violently flicker. Vijay defies gravity. He crawls inverted out of the hospital building. He runs blindly into the dark night, heading straight back to the jungle stepwell where this curse was born, and he leaps into the Bowery to his death. And Rita? She's standing just a short distance away in the shadows, watching him die with a satisfied smile on her face.
But here is the devastating final twist, and it beautifully illustrates why tampering with dark forces always backfires. As soon as Vijay dies, the Rakt Batal leaves his corpse and approaches Rita. She thinks she's finally free, but the demon looks at her and says, "My work is done, now you are mine." The dark entity she thought she could somehow control to serve her has now claimed her as its ultimate prize.
Which leaves us with this final, deeply unsettling thought. When you summon a demon for revenge, who becomes the true victim? Rita sought to punish a monster, but in doing so, she became prey to something far worse. It's a brilliant, horrifying look at the mechanics of a curse and the ultimate price of vengeance. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the darkness. Until next time, keep analyzing and keep questioning the stories you hear.